are the scariest underwater animatronics you've never seen before. I'm Walt, and today we're bringing back our most successful series. Thank you for all your messages and for bringing this series back to the channel. Be part of the Duck Squad and subscribe, and please leave a like, or these animatronics will follow you every time you touch water. Big Yabby. This is the ultimate SUBMECHANOPHOBIA nightmare. We all know the famous Bert the Bunyip, but I bet you don't know his lobster cousin. Meet Big Yabby. He's a distant cousin of the Bunyip, and he lives in Dartmoor, Australia. This mechanical beast is coin-operated, and when you put in $1 Australian, he comes out to scare you with his terrifying roar. But the scariest part is how awkward he is. After he comes out, he just stays there, totally still, in this super uncomfortable silence. Awkward. This giant crustacean is super basic, almost prehistoric, but we still don't want to get on Bunyip's bad side. We don't want him going full Venom mode on us. So there you go, Bunyip, we did it. We showed everyone your cousin. The origin of life, happy farm. If your biggest fear is animatronics, especially underwater ones, then I really do not recommend going to Hangzhou, China. There's a small train ride in a park called the Origin of Life, Happy Farm. At first glance, it looks super calm and cute, but oh my God. Suddenly, you see a small track over the water, and in the distance, you spot 3 half-submerged dinos. And by the time you think about getting off the ride, it's too late. You realize you're about to pass just a few centimeters away from them. It's wild how close they are to the guests, and the worst part, they spray water out of their nostrils. These 3 dinosaurs have a really strange design, but they're nothing compared to our next contender, Colorado Canyon rafting, window of the world, Shenzhen. You know what Quasimodo means, right? It basically means half-formed or half-made, and it's the perfect name for this thing living under the water. This little monster lives, where else? In China. On the Colorado Canyon rafting ride at a park called Window of the World in Shenzhen. Huge thanks to CB Feet for being brave enough to get on this ride, and even worse, to do it alone at night. This guy is a legend. The ring is a boat ride, and we see half-submerged elephants, these cursed-looking skulls, and even Mount Rushmore for some random reason. Which makes me ask, guys, are you okay? Did you really need to make it this creepy and this bad at geography at the same time? And of course, we meet our friend Quasi. He jumps out of the water to scare us, but honestly, what scares me the most is that someone approved that design. This is the most deformed, weird hippo I've ever seen in my life. And I promise you, on this channel we've covered hundreds of these animals.
Oh, it doesn't look good.
It's hopeless, absolutely hopeless.
But maybe poor Quasi just wants to be friendly, and he's begging us to get him out of there and take him to Disney's Jungle Cruise. Now we're going to Canada for something super bizarre. The hot air fantasy. I'm about to start a war in the comments by asking, are you in favor of shows with real animals? We're honestly not. And if seeing one of those shows today already feels weird and kind of cruel, now imagine a show with animatronics playing music while real seals do tricks. It's the most freaking bizarre and unethical thing I've seen this month. Let me introduce you to the hot air fantasy at the now closed Marineland, Canada. This was a live show that was super controversial because it mixed dolphins and seals with animatronics on stage. I have no idea who thought this was a good idea. The animatronics were created by Advanced Animations, and you could see robot animals in a hot air balloon, a bird choir, and a penguin just a few meters away from the tank where the real seals and dolphins were. The host would ask the animals to do tricks, while every few moments, new hot air balloons arrived with different animatronic animals. There was also a part of the show where an animatronic bear appeared on the main stage while a real seal did tricks right next to it. Something honestly very dangerous and stressful for the animal. The show didn't last very long for what I think are pretty obvious reasons. I can't even imagine the maintenance those animatronics needed with all that humidity. Marineland was involved in tons of scandals because of many accusations of animal abuse and lack of regulation. The park closed in 2024. But the sad part is that many of its animals are still there, like some belugas, waiting to be moved somewhere else. And at the time we're making this video, their future is still up in the air. So please, say no to animal shows. Brer Rabbit's Burrow. This ride has been abandoned for 10 years, and we already covered it in this video. If you want the full story, we really recommend watching that one. But today, we have an update. Recently, urban explorer JC Explorers went back inside the ride to see what condition the animatronics were in. And he found out that not only are they still there, slowly falling apart, but the most infamous one, the bathtub rabbit, still had water inside the tub. Can you imagine how that smells? People said the ride already stank when it was open, so I don't even want to think about it now. And even worse, what would happen if you accidentally took a sip of that water? I don't even want that image in my brain. In the new footage, we can see the train totally abandoned, several of the rabbit animatronics covered in mold, and of course, our two infamous rabbits, Poop Rabbit and the decrepit bunny taking a shower in the tub. Like I said, the water is still there, but now it's darker and browner than ever. It's honestly terrifying. Perfect material for an analog horror tape. So tell me, for $1 million, would you drink a full glass of that water? Crossing Jurassic boat ride. China doesn't just want to be the next world power. Apparently, it also wants to be the country with the scariest SUBMECHANOPHOBIA animatronics. Now we're going to Changzhou, to China Dinosaur Park, where we find the Crossing Jurassic boat ride. Basically their own version of the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World rides from Universal Studios. And of course, they had to include our dear friend, the parasaurolophus. But for some reason, they made him 1,000 times more terrifying. I don't know if it's because of his jerky movements, or because he's way closer to the boat, or maybe because he's bigger, or maybe it's the fact that you can clearly see all the mechanisms. But this version feels way scarier to us. What do you think? Which one scares you more or triggers your SUBMECHANOPHOBIA harder? Six Flags Lost Media, the animatronic crocodiles. Do you like Lost Media? If you do, check out this list we're leaving here. We're obsessed with it. That's why we're going back to these crocodiles we already talked about from Six Flags over Texas. Recently, some lost media footage of the crocodiles actually working was found, and it is honestly terrifying. In the video, you can see the crocodile shooting out of the water with a ton of force, going from fully submerged to a full-on frontal attack. Right now, the crocodiles are still there, but they don't move anymore. Six Flags should really bring them back, because that movement was brutal. Hopefully more footage of them appears in the future. Wildwood Boardwalk. Speaking of lost things, now we're going to New Jersey, to the Wildwood Boardwalk. Here we find a classic flume ride called Zoom Flume. At first glance, there's nothing special about it, but what most people don't know is that a giant, super elusive sea serpent used to live here. And I say elusive because it's almost impossible to find good footage of it. I don't know if the people filming were still freaking out after the drop or what, but in every video I've found, for some reason they either miss the serpent or film it really badly. Luckily, I did find a few shots of this serpent, and it looks fantastic. The sad part is that it's no longer there. It was removed because it was in terrible shape and falling apart from rust. Fans of this park have been asking for it to be restored, and that would be amazing. But so far, there's no news about that, and the serpent remains lost and forgotten. Osaka Kansai Expo 2025. For this segment, we're kind of cheating, because this show isn't really animatronics. But it's so cool that we had to include it. What you're seeing here is the Vietnam Pavilion at the Osaka Expo 2025. Vietnam created a huge water stage where, suddenly, we see a pair of dragons rising from the water and then sinking back in. They dance on the surface, splashing the water in a really unsettling way. These are water puppets. That's why we said we're cheating a bit. But honestly, I don't think I had ever seen a full water puppet show before. Had you? But the dragons are not the main reason we're here. After the dragons, a fisherman appears, obviously trying to catch something big, and then she shows up, the mother goddess. I don't want to be disrespectful at all, but the puppet is a little terrifying, and the way she moves and rises from the water makes the whole scene super uncanny. The figure moves her fans and floats over the water, spinning and gliding around. After a bunch of spins and poses, she waves goodbye, and the show ends. The show itself is amazing, and the music is beautiful, But if you have SUBMECHANOPHOBIA, this is absolute nightmare fuel. And with that, we're done. Thank you so much for all your messages and for asking us to bring this series back to the channel. We'll see you next week.